Yo, what's up everybody? This song just came out called Caught in the Middle by my buddy Alexander23, and I mixed it, which was great. So I thought it would be fun to open up the session and check out some of the parts and stuff and see what I did. And yeah, let's dive in.
Caught in the middle of lovers and strangers, you know everything about me.
Alright, so the arrangement is super simple, very clean, very intentional, and I loved working on this. So the main drum beat is just this one drum loop that I got. So this is what it started as. Super cool. It was just a stereo file though, it's just the one drum loop, and I thought I would need to control each element a little bit more. So what I did was I just split up the kick drum from the rest of the drum loop. I just went in and sliced each kick, moved it down to a new track, and then I had a snare drum and a hi-hat track, and just a kick drum track. That way I could control the kick drum separate from the rest of the drum kit. So that's exactly what I did. Here's the snare and the hi-hat track. And here's the kick track. Great, so I was able to process them a little bit differently also. Getting rid of some of the mud in the snare hi-hat track, and then getting rid of some of the harsh frequencies here. This is just to kind of give space for Alexander. You know, his vocals they kind of live in this range a little bit. So I wanted to duck those in the snare drum so that he could come forward in that area. After that, I've got a clipper which kind of just chops the transients off and it smooths things out a bit. I also then put a little bit of a reverb on there. And again, this is great that I was able to separate the kick and the snare, because now I can add reverb just to the snare and the hi-hat. It's really subtle, but I'll exaggerate it for a bit. Yeah, it's a gated reverb, just a little bit in there. Just gives a little bit of space. It makes it feel like it's in a room. And then the kick drum, we got Ozone Vintage EQ. It's actually not doing anything at all, so just skip that. And then we got this EQ. I'm just boosting some of these mids here so it can kind of cut through the mix a little bit more. And yeah, just kind of cutting out some of the mud that lives around 200 hertz as well. Give some space to the bass, some bass space. Great. And then I do have the overall drum kit going into this bus. I put it through the radiator. This is great. I really love this plugin on drums. Gives it nice crunch. That's going into the Faraday limiter. It's just controlling those peaks a little bit more. After that is the EQ where I'm boosting some 1.5K so the drums kind of are a little bit more in your face. Lastly is this clipper that's just chopping off those transients. Very subtly though, it's kind of evening things out a bit. I also have a little EQ on there, getting rid of some of these high resonant frequencies that were kind of harsh, so probably coming from the hi-hat. I just ducked them down there. And the snare drum had this low frequency ringing thing that I really was bugging me because the guitar lives in that area, the vocals kind of in that area too, so I had to control that a bit. So I used a dynamic EQ here that whenever the snare drum hits, it pulls down those frequencies, that one specific frequency. Let's check it out. Those are just too ringy. It sounds weird, so I got rid of it. That's it for the drums. And why not? Let's check out the vocals real quick. So I don't have that much going on here. First thing that I do is I split up the breaths. I take the breaths and just like I did with the kick and the snare and the hi-hat, I take the breaths and I move them to a separate track. That way I can control the volume of the breaths separate from the sync. So I put those on a separate track where I can just turn them down. Simple. Yeah, so after that, I do some vocal volume automation and you can see I'm doing quite a bit. You know, for each word, I go in and I adjust the volume of each word here. Try to even it all out. So at the quietest spot here, I'm boosting it up 4.5 dB versus at the kind of a louder spot, I'm only boosting it 0.2 dB. It just kind of evens things out a bit. And then that goes into this compressor. It's not doing much at all. I'm pretty sure Alexander had this on the rough mix, so I just left it on there. Same with this EQ. He had this going, boosting some 5K, cleaning up a little bit of that low frequency mud. Sounded great, so I left it on there. I noticed that it was starting to get a little bit harsh though. That's where this plugin came in, called Soothe. It's a great plugin. I use it on every mix. It's fantastic. It literally just finds the harsh frequencies and ducks them out. Simple. It's really easy to do too much of it though, so I just try and do a little bit, and that's enough. You can see what it does.
Then no words came out. Oh, we used to kiss and say I love you. Now we never say nothing at all.
So it's just kind of finding those harsh frequencies and getting rid of them. After that, doing some low frequency cleanup. I like to use the multi-band compressor here and just compress the low frequencies with a slow attack so that the initial low frequency comes through, but then shortly after, the compressor pushes them back down. That gives the vocal the impression of it being like right up in your face with a lot of warmth and stuff, but pushing those low frequencies out of the way right away also. So it's nice and clean, but still gives the impression of low frequencies. That comes from the slow attack. You got to keep it slow. After that, we got a de-esser. The S's were too loud, so this plugin literally just finds the sounds and brings them down. This plugin is compressing the harsh frequencies. I'm all about getting rid of the harshness. I feel like that's what I'm always doing. So this is just finding more of those harsh frequencies. You can hear.
And it called me for the first time in a year, but then no words came out.
That 2.6K area is a little bit too harsh, so this kind of controls it a bit. After that, we got a little EQ, not doing anything. And then this EQ, getting rid of some more of the low end there, allowing some space for the guitar, and getting rid of some of this harsh frequency stuff.
And it called me for the first time in a year, but then no words came.
No thank you, get rid of it. And that's it. So that's the song. Well, it's not the whole song, it's just the drums and the vocal. Had a blast mixing it. Yeah, hope you guys dig it. Check it out. Stay safe. Peace out.
We used to kiss and say I love you. Now we never say nothing at all.